Good morning, Ruby.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you going?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, great. We would love to have you on. Just quickly, I want everyone to know if someone's not familiar with the artist and the exhibition, can you quickly do an introduction yourself as well?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Ruby Arrowsmith-Todd. I'm the curator of film here at the Art Gallery of New South Wales. And as Muskan mentioned, I'm the co-curator of the forthcoming exhibition, Southey, My City is Yours, which opens at the gallery on 30th of November and runs all over summer as part of our big summer blockbuster series. Zhao Fei, for listeners who may not be familiar with her work, is really one of the most acclaimed contemporary artists working today. She works across video, sculpture, games, VR, expanded installation, and really since the turn of the new millennium, so since Y2K, she's been exploring how China's breakneck transformations, particularly in the realm of the city and the realm of digital experience, has changed people's lives. And so we're very excited to be staging the first major retrospective of Tafei's work here in Australia. And I'm looking forward to having a chat with you all about it.
Yeah, that sounds great. So what can the visitors expect for the exhibition and why is it significant for the art gallery?
So Salfei has very much designed the exhibition as a cityscape. She's worked very closely with an architecture firm from Hong Kong called Bo to create an environment which she describes as being resolutely kind of anti the usual white box experience. So she said from the outset, I don't want to do a typical European style exhibition, low sound, white walls, but I want to do a show that's boisterous, like the mall or the market. That's what China's like. So she's taken that spirit and created a really incredibly immersive environment full of neons, screens, opportunities to engage with works from 1999 to today that take a wide range of forms. So we've got arcade games, we've got a feature film, we've got installations and a few new commissions that were directly inspired by her time in Sydney. She did a few site visits, and I'd love to speak more to them as well.
That sounds wonderful. So just quickly, because you've covered most of my questions, a bit more about how it's connecting with the younger audience and how it's bringing in more people. Because I know Art Gallery is really on top of getting all sorts of audiences in.
Yeah, for sure. So Zhao has always been very interested in youth culture. She was born in 1978, which listeners may know was a very significant year for China, the year that Deng Xiaoping, the then leader, instigated the so-called reform and opening up policies. So these policies which began to open China up to the West. And Cao Fei, as a young artist, she grew up in Guangzhou in southern China. And southern China, because of its proximity to Hong Kong, for example, meant that it was really at the forefront of receiving a lot of kind of new media which started streaming in. So things like bootleg tapes of MTV, pirated rips of canto pop, American rap, really became her first loves and her first artistic inspirations. And many of her early major works look at how young people in China were then incorporating new technologies in their lives, and how new generations were being basically raised with the internet, and what that meant for example, the formation of subcultures. So one of her major early works is called Cosplayers, and it's about basically the first internet mediated subculture in China, which was young kids becoming obsessed with Japanese anime and basically roaming China's streets dressed up accordingly. The show, I think, will have a particular interest for younger audiences, not only because South A is so interested in music, in pop culture, in kind of subcultures, but she's also very interested in, as I said, how to make an exhibition experience feel less rarefied, feel a little bit more kind of edgy and rough around the edges. She has a real desire to what she describes as to bring the city into the gallery. So there's a lot of items that you wouldn't usually find in the white box. There's a delivery tricycle, there are inflatable watermelons, there are 2 tons of sand, there's ephemera, old movie posters from a defunct kung fu cinema in China, in Sydney's Chinatown. So she's really interested in, I guess, material culture and the culture that we live amongst ourselves. So for Sydney audiences in particular, as I mentioned, she's made 2 new commissions that are really kind of directly engaged with the city. And I'll just speak to one of them now because I think it'll have a big appeal for younger audiences. And that is a new hip hop music video, which she shot in Sydney's Chinatown to attract by the Korean Australian musicians 1300, who I'm sure you all know. And this new work has featured over 60 local community members, so artists, aunties, shopkeepers, chefs, all performing kind of basic hip hop moves on the streets in Haymarket and Burwood. That work will premiere in the exhibition. Super fun work. And another sort of new installation that Salfé has made, directly inspired by the time that she spent in Sydney, is an homage to the Marigold restaurant. I don't know if you guys remember the Marigold, the iconic yum cha restaurant in Haymarket that sadly closed down in 2021. Did you ever visit?
I couldn't because I came to Sydney in 2022, but now I think I should have visited the place.
Well, she's sort of creating in the exhibition a very loving homage to that space. So visitors will encounter, original chandeliers, some of the old dim sum trolleys. So she's really interested in social spaces that live on in the memory of cities and in spaces where communities come together.
That sounds very interesting. And now I do actually want to see that homage to the restaurant and look at those dim sum trolleys. Just wrapping it up here, can you tell me about what some of the challenges and one of your favorite works that you really like about it because you've been the curator for the exhibition?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the challenges has probably been so as a curator, you're always mediating between what the artist wants and then sort of the realities of what the institution kind of can provide, be that in terms of budget, be that in terms of, in this case, Australian building codes. So Salfé, some of her previous exhibitions, so she's shown all around the world at many major institutions, and previous exhibitions have had things like a actual functioning dim sum restaurant inside them. They've had a badminton court. So there were certain things like that we couldn't necessarily make happen. But I'm super proud of what we have been able to have been able to achieve, because it's a very different kind of show for the art gallery, and the exhibition will really be transformed into Salfé's city. One of my favorite works, I would have to say, it's the new hip hop Sydney work. So this is actually the latest in a series of videos which she's made in Chinatowns all around the world. She started making videos in Chinatowns in New York, in Fukuoka, and the process of making this work has just been very rewarding. We worked closely with the advocacy group Soul of Chinatown, incredible group of people who do great work down in Haymarket, and working with them to gain access to spaces like the old monorail platform in 1 Dixon Street, to various sort of behind the scenes, now abandoned buildings to shoot this video was a great pleasure. And just getting to know so many of the